You are watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the September 9th meeting for the Long Beach Park Project Development Plan. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Okay, we're going to get started here. Thanks everybody on Zoom who has put in their name and address. A lot of superstars on there. It's awesome. So we'll get started. I'm Paul Walczak on your park board, and I'm joined by my colleagues who will introduce themselves.
I'm Zach Neff.
I'm Margaret Eggleston.
Elena Ruane.
And yes, we are your park board. What we're doing here today is talking about the park across the street. We're having a public input meeting. This is the third of three. And we're going to go through a few things here. I'll go through the agenda. This will probably take about an hour. And then if anybody, there's a session at the end for question and answers and public comment. So let's get right into the agenda. We're going to talk about the ground rules. We'll go into the background of this project, how this project came up. We'll talk about what we want to do. We'll do some brainstorming on what kind of cool ideas people have. And then at the end, like I said, we'll have some public comment and resident concerns. So one thing I want to make sure I point out on this slide, this drawing here, this is not a drawing of the park that we're putting in. Good chance that later on somebody will try to find out what we're doing. That's just a stock picture. So that is not anything. So getting into ground rules. For this meeting, this is brainstorming. Anybody is welcome in this meeting. It's a public meeting, but we're trying to keep the brainstorming activities and input to Long Beach residents and property owners because we're the ones that are going to be footing the bill, and through donations, Long Beach funds, grants, things like that. We're going to be the ones that are paying for this. So respect your neighbors and be polite. I think that's obvious. I think we won't have any problem with that. Speak only for yourself. I put this on here because I've heard some comments of people saying, we don't need a this, we don't need a that. And you really can't say that unless you've talked to every single person in Long Beach, and I know you haven't. So you can say, I don't want this, and I don't think we should have this, but let's refrain from saying we don't need this because it's not really true. We can disagree and still be friends. Everybody doesn't have to have the same opinion. There will be multitudes of opinions, and we may not all agree. As I said last time, in the last meeting, Zach and I disagree about some very specific and important things, but we're still friends, and that's fine. We can just agree to disagree. Not part of this meeting, the community center building. We are not going to talk about the community center building itself. We can talk about things outside of the building, the playground area, the basketball courts, some of the stuff outside of it. We're not talking about the community center building itself, mainly because it's its own thing. It's protected. That's a whole project in and of itself. We're not going to talk about the financials or funding sources, mainly because we don't know how much this is going to cost because we don't know what we're doing yet. That's the purpose of these meetings, is to figure out what we want to do as a town for that park. Once we know what we want to do, then we'll balance that against the funding that we might have available. And then finally, we're not going to talk about other parks. We have a lot of other great parks in town, but today we're only talking about the park across the street. So I'm going to get into the background, and this is going to be probably the most boring part because I am reading a very specific description of how we got to this point because I want it to be the same in each one of these meetings. So I want to make sure I don't forget anything. So bear with me while I read this one page, and then we'll get into the fun stuff. I forgot about the most important part here. We have heard a lot of misconceptions and misunderstandings. Like I said, there's a reason I said that we're not building that park that was on that slide. For example, I've heard new pickleball courts are going in the green space in front of the community center. I've heard the new park is all planned out already, and they're going to make it into a soccer field, and we don't need a soccer field. Again, you can't say we don't need that. And there's a good chance that after saying all these things, at the end of the meeting in public comment, someone's going to stand up there and say, I've heard that we've had pickleball courts are going to go in the front of the community center in the green space. I'm going to say it many times. No decisions have been made now other than what we'll talk about in a little bit regarding pickleball and tennis. So these specific things are not happening. anything you've heard is false. The only thing that we've discussed so far is the tennis court and pickleball reconstruction. And as I read this background, you'll understand why, how that came up. So how we got here. The park board had budgeted and completed earlier this year a tennis court crack ceiling and repainting project out of necessity. We understand there are still many dead spots and the courts really need a complete renovation. We also understood the desire of residents for more pickleball courts and specifically dedicated pickleball courts with permanent nets. So we began discussions with design firms to plan out the design of new improved tennis court layout, ideally with one dedicated tennis court, one combination tennis pickleball court like we have today, and 2 dedicated pickleball courts with permanent nets. This would dramatically increase the number and quality of our tennis and pickleball courts. At the June 25th Park Board meeting, a number of Long Beach residents in favor of new pickleball courts attended. We had a good discussion, and several people offered to volunteer to help raise funds to improve the courts. Following that meeting, Zach and I met with some of those who had volunteered, and we discussed how the fundraising might work in conjunction with town funding and in conjunction with the $50,000 matching grant from the state of Indiana. The group volunteering to raise donations went to work and recruited other potential donors, and the amount of money they expected to raise increased substantially. They reached out to the town and suggested that with a larger donation, perhaps we could make more major improvements across the entire park, not just the tennis courts. Because the town and the park board especially has limited funds available, we were extremely grateful for the offer to help raise a significant amount of money that could be used to improve the park. We do not yet know how much money can be raised through donations, so we don't yet know the scope of the improvements that will be possible in the park. However, we don't want to do anything in the redesign of the tennis courts that would preclude us from doing something amazing in the future in the rest of the park. So that is the background. That's how we got here. And now I'm going to talk about where we're going. So you are here. We are in public input meetings to talk about what people want. We're going to take all of this input. We're going to go back using some process we haven't quite figured out yet, but we have all of the data. We're going to probably sit around and just sort of analyze all the input we've received. We will then work with the design firms that we've been talking to come up with conceptual designs for what that park would look like. This will be something like that drawing I showed you on the second slide, where people can see, here's what we're thinking. We'd have this over here and these over here. And see, I'm not even going to say real words because it'll show up, next week that we're doing that. But we'll come up with a conceptual design that everybody can look at. And then we'll do another set of these same types of meetings where we'll go over that plan and what we're thinking, and we'll allow for more public input on what people like, what they don't like, what they'd like to adjust. And we'll make adjustments based on those meetings, and then we'll come up with our final plan. As we're doing that final plan, we will take the designs that we're looking at and put them together with the funding sources that we think we can get. And we'll come up with an approach that will probably be in multiple phases, where we can do some things in the first phase, some things in the next phase. But the point of all of this is that we don't do something in phase 1 and then get to phase 3 and say, oh man, if we wouldn't have put that there in phase 1, we could have done this. And then we can't have a roller coaster. So we're not going to have a roller coaster, by the way.
You said there are no plans.
That's true.
Anything in brainstorming.
That's true. First rule of brainstorming. Okay, so that's the plan. That's why we're doing this. We're going to take all this information, come up with a plan we can look at, review that, come up with the final plan. And the whole point of this is to get as much public input as possible. We could have just, sat around one of our meetings and said, hey, here's a good plan for redoing the park. But we didn't want to do that because we've in the first 2 meetings, we've gotten some really good ideas that we hadn't even thought of. And it's really exciting. So that's what our job is here today. I'm glad to see we have a pretty full room here and a lot of people on Zoom. So it's going to be a fun activity, and we're going to get into it in just a minute. This is the area we're talking about, the park across the street. This is not, this came up in the last meeting. This is not an exact layout of the specific area we're talking about. I'm just putting this up here to show this is the park we're talking about. I realize that the grass is cut off at the top here. That doesn't mean we can't do anything above the top. This is just to show that this is the park that we're talking about. Okay. In the brainstorming session, if anyone's done official brainstorming before, you're aware of how this works. There are no bad ideas. The whole point is to come up with all of the ideas, and then we'll figure out later on if they're good or bad. There may be constraints that we find later on. There's obviously some physical and space constraints, right? The park is limited in size, that we can't do everything we'd love to do there. And there's infrastructure over there. We have septic mounds we have to work around, not only the mounds, but I'm sure there's some distance that we have to stay away from them. So whatever we end up doing has to be, has to fit in the box that we have to put it in. We'll have financial constraints, obviously. We have to pay for all this somehow. And safety constraints. I did tell the chief that I liked the idea of an archery range at the park. Apparently there are safety concerns with archery in the park, so.
And one other thing that's not on here, Paul, we do have our state and local building codes to deal with as well. So whatever we come up with, that's 3 separate lots. And you saw in that picture, not including the lot that the community center is sitting on. Those would probably have to be combined. The tennis courts, for example, are taking up probably 99% of a lot right now, which violates our own building codes. 35% lot coverage applies to whatever we're going to do out here at the park as well, unless we get a variance. So lots of other things to consider.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's a lot of things we have to do in the background of all this to make sure that it can work. If you hold off 1 second, and then we'll, sorry, what's your question? Is it quick?
Slide that we had showed the overview. Other areas that you were just describing a lot, that could be identified.
So there's a question, are there areas that are off limits in this? And the end?
Talk about the septic area is one.
Yep.
And then as far as, it doesn't identify what playground is for the building, I realize that, again, those are items to consider.
Yeah, that all of that will come into effect in the next phase, which is coming up with the design. So we'll take the boundary survey that we just got from the engineers recently. They did a survey of all of the area, what we actually own, and what that layout of that looks. We'll take that, overlay the parts that we can't build on for various reasons, and that's what we'll use with the design firm to make sure that we know where we can build. So yes, there are areas.
And guys, we can't do the back and forth like this because nobody online can hear anything you're saying.
Yeah. When we get into question and answer, everyone's going to have to go up there and speak into the thing.
No, you'll go up to the podium and you'll be able to hear.
Yeah. All right. So one of the most important points here, it's going to feel like we're voting. So we're going to do some activities here where we're going to do 8 questions. We're all going to give our feedback. It's going to feel like we're voting on what we should put in across the park. We're not voting on this. This is getting feedback and brainstorming because this is only one of 3 meetings. Plus, we're taking input via emails and public input at our regular park board meetings, which, by the way, a plug, feel free to attend those meetings as well. Those are open to the public, and it's usually the same couple people there, and we'd love to see more people and have more ideas. But there's lots of ways we're getting feedback for this. So this is just one of them. So it's not like we're voting on this and whatever we pick is the winner. It doesn't work like that. So I'm just warning you because I've heard people say, oh, come and vote on this. So we're not voting on anything tonight. But it's going to feel like it. So that's why I'm telling you. There's going to be 8 questions. We're going to use a tool called Menti. This is an online tool. Most meetings you go to, they tell you to put your phone away. Here, I'm going to tell you to get your phone out. This is an online thing. We're going to use a tool that connects to your smartphone, and we can get your feedback very quickly using that super cool technology. So I'm going to switch to this.
Does anybody not have a smartphone?
Does anybody need a device? I have a spare one if someone needs one.
Looks like we're good.
Excellent. Yeah, this is always a problem. Stand by. So the way this tool works is there's different types of questions. So we're going to do 3 test questions. These are for fun test questions, just to make sure we understand how these questions work. What you can do right now, if you're in this room, or if you're looking at this at home on your computer and you have a smartphone, use your camera and take a picture of that QR code, open up the link, and it will bring you to the tool that we're using called Menti. You will not be able to respond yet because I have not turned on responses. So go ahead and yes, if you're here in the audience, we have tech support helpers. If you're using your phone to watch the meeting and there's no way for your phone to take a picture of its own screen, you can use that link at the top. It says join@menti.com. Go to menti.com and type in that code 28760233, and that'll do the same thing. So we're going to take a few minutes here, and if anybody on Zoom has any issues connecting, feel free to unmute and let me know, and we can help you through it. We have some people here in the room doing the same thing.
So it looks like we have 19 or 20 people on 18 probably. There might be several people in here that are on the
Well
same.
done, team.
Yeah. A smart crowd.
Promising.
All right, we've got 16 in the room, got 22 online. Okay, we're going to leave that QR code up for these questions here. Is anybody here in the room still struggling? I shouldn't say struggling. That's
Hey, Paul, we don't see the QR code on our screen.
you don't see the QR code.
Do you see anything else on the screen like the
Just the
bowls,
meetings.
cups? So you're not sharing your actual screen?
I am sharing. You may. Yeah. Does anybody else on Zoom see the QR code?
Yeah, you had to toggle around and play with it to figure out which screen.
Yeah, you may
were
have to look at
on.
a different view, view option on Zoom.
You can also just go to menti.com and put that code in if you don't see the QR code, right?
Correct. If you go to menti.com, menti.com, I'll read the code again, 28760233. So whomever was having trouble finding that QR code, have we found it? It's LB Public. Correct. No password.
You don't have to be on Wi-Fi.
Okay. Well, we have 30 people logged in, which is really good. If anybody has trouble, raise your hand or just unmute on Zoom and we'll try and help you. So this first test question that we're going to do is called, the type of question is called a 100 points question. So the way this works is there are a bunch of choices here. You have 100 points to allocate to each of those options. If you think the Bears is by far the best answer, which I can't imagine
Not
after
after
last
last
night,
Wow.
you could put 100 points on the Bears and nothing on anybody else. If you like the Cubs and the White Sox equally, again, that's never happened, but you could put 50 points on each of them. You can spread your points around to kind of to show the weighting of your priorities. That's how this question works. As soon as I turn this on, you'll be able to respond. So you should see the option now.
Wow. Some people just gave Bears 100, I can tell.
As soon as everybody has responded, we will reveal all the answers.
And reveal who the Hounds and the Union are. Because I did not know.
There we go.
And if anybody's having trouble, just raise your hand. Okay, everybody, looks like everybody's good in here. So what you'll see on the screen, especially once we get into it, just to make sure that everybody understands where we are, is this timer. So there is a 10-second timer. We have 10 seconds left to put your answers in. Again, if you didn't get this, don't worry, it doesn't really matter. Okay. So responding is off. I will reveal the results. Oh, Cubs by
That's
far.
different.
I was told that there is a correct answer to this question. I was told I'm not allowed to say what it is, though. So that's how a 100 points question works. It'll make more sense when we get into some of the other options that we're considering. Okay, any questions on how that question works? If not, whoops, we will get into the next one. This is a multiple choice question. So what's the best vacation spot? Long Beach, California, Long Beach, Indiana, Long Beach Island, New Jersey, or Long Island, New York? Has anybody been to all four of those places? I know someone in here has been to all four of those places. Thank you. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to turn on responding. This is a multiple choice. This is a very easy type of question to answer. Just put in your choice. Boy, everyone's cranking through this now. Look at these professionals.
Will we have 30 before?
31, I think. But I'll say, if anybody is having trouble either on Zoom or in this room, just send us an email with your thoughts. I assure you it will count the same. Send us an email or come to a meeting and say it, or say it in the public comments later. Don't get hung up on this tool. Like I said, we're not voting. It's just a way to make it easier. Okay, we got 20 out of 34. We had 31 last time, but I'm going to give it a 10-second timer because this is a really easy type of question. Okay, got 30 on this one. The answer, of course, is Long Beach, Indiana. Great answer. Okay, the next test question we're going to do, this is an open-ended question. So this works a little differently. And let me explain that. So this is a question where you can type in whatever you want. So what kind of new restaurant do we need in town? You can type in an answer and press submit. With this type of question, you can answer as many times as you want. If you think, I'm not going to bias the answers, of course, but whatever you think we need, if you think there's 3 different things, type all 3 of them in, hit submit, they'll show up here. Now, we are going to deduplicate these later. So if you already see something up here, if someone already puts Irish Pub, and that was your answer, you don't have to also put Irish Pub. There's no value in having it up there twice. We just want to get the total list. So
And it is helpful also on this one, just have one answer, submit, another answer, submit, another answer, submit.
Yeah.
If you put them all together, then we have to split them all out later.
yes, exactly. Okay, responses are on. On this one, you are able to see the responses as people type them in for that reason. Wow, great, quick answers.
I like the clarification of good.
Yeah, I do too.
I appreciate that.
No comment. Okay, I'm scrolling through these. Great answers. All right, I'm going to give it 10 more seconds. Again, this is just for fun. The thing about this type of question, make sure you hit submit at the end of your question. That's what makes it show up on the screen. Going to give it 10 seconds. Got a lot of great responses there.
Oh, it's a lot.
If anybody's interested in developing a restaurant in Long Beach, they should come see me because I have a lot of input on what people want. We get a lot of great feedback here. Okay, so there's the answers. That's the open-ended question. Everyone did a great job. Those are the 3 types of questions we're going to use. Any questions on how this works? Anybody concerned? You guys are amazing. All right, we're going to get into it for real now. This is a question for everybody. We're trying to get a sense of pickleball and tennis. We had already decided to fix and revamp the tennis courts and pickleball courts before this process started. But what we'd like to know is, what are people's preferences between the two? Do you play both? Do you not play anything? Are you mostly a pickleball player or mostly a tennis player? So responses are on. You can put in your answers, and then this will just give us a sense of what people are into. No wrong answers here. All right, looks like most everyone has responded. So what's important about this question, when I show the results here, we're going to look at them real quick and then we're going to move on. We're going to spend a lot of time in the analysis of this. So especially when we get into the more interesting questions, it's going to be tempting to want to sit there and look at them for a long time. And trust me, it's really tempting for me also up here to sit there and look at them, but that's a future thing. So we'll show them because everybody's going to want to see them. And of course, this is recorded. You can go back and watch it. But we're not going to spend any time on that because that's a future thing. Okay, we've got 31 responses. Let's see what the answers are here. Okay, a lot of pickleball players, tennis players, some play both, some play neither. So that's that. Moving along, the next question. This is, I believe this is a 100 points type question. So what priorities do you have for park elements, activities for adults, for children, for all ages, and green space or open fields? There are no wrong answers here. Again, this is just to get a sense for what people are feeling. So go ahead and put your answers in. Pardon?
100 points, is that what we do?
Yeah.
Yes, I think this is a 100 points question. Yes, this is a 100 points questions. My phone is very slow too, and I was not able to get on the Wi-Fi.
I've never had luck with the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it's on.
Got it finally. Okay. Oh wait, this is a real question, so I'll wait until we get should be able to get at least 30, 31. I'm going to give it a timer. Here we go. 30 seconds, counting down.
We're doing okay?
Excuse me, could you please put the QR code back on?
Yes, certainly.
Thank you.
Can you see that? There's very few places I can put it where it doesn't block something, unfortunately. So the top one says activities for adults in case you couldn't get that. Okay, responding is off. And the results are, there we go. All ages, open fields and green space, activities for adults and activities for children. Okay. Very good. Moving on. And we're about halfway done now.
Oh,
What?
I was just gonna grab the QR code.
Oh, I can put it back up. No problem.
Real quick. Except, no, oh, there it goes. Okay.
Okay, so next question here. I will
Okay, good.
turn on responses. This is a question, it's a 100-point question, whether you prefer active activities like sports, fitness, and playgrounds, or passive elements like walking trails, picnics, and nature. Hmm? All right, I'm gonna start a 10-second timer. You may have to refresh your screen.
It is off now.
It was, I just turned it back on, so in case anybody was having trouble, I'll give you a second.
Oh, just like everything else. Just turn it off and turn it back on.
Are we good? Okay. Now responses are off, and hey, there's your answer. Looks like, what would you call that? 3-to-1 active? 2-to-1? 2-to-1? It's too late for math. Okay, moving on. How often do you visit the park today? Rarely, once a month, once a week, or frequently?
This is a multiple choice.
Yes, this is a multiple choice. This should be easy. Pick one. Responses are on. And to clarify, when I say how often do you visit the park today, I don't mean this particular day. I mean in general, the way the park is today. All right. A lot of responses coming in. 10-second timer. 5 seconds. Everybody's good. Okay. And the survey says, frequently. That's great.
Good.
I was thinking about this from the last meeting. It sort of makes sense that the people who use the park frequently show up at these meetings. So I shouldn't be totally shocked. Okay, moving on. So this is a open-ended question. And before I turn on the responses, let me explain this. There are two questions coming up. This is what would make you use the park more often. This could be anything that would make you use the park more often. Better lighting. I'm trying, I can't really explain what the point of this question without giving some examples, but fresher air, friendlier environment, greener grass, things like that. The question after this is going to be about what specific elements you'd like to see in the park, like a roller coaster, a jungle gym, things like that. So it doesn't matter if you put the same on both. I'm just trying to explain. These questions are similar, but a little bit different. So this first question is, what would make you want to use the park more often? And responses are on. If you don't see it, you may have to refresh.
In one response, hit submit and then resubmit for the next one?
Yes, similar to our practice, put it in and submit more.
Can I put if I retire? Please.
Good. That is actually a valid answer.
Please.
All right, some good activity coming in here.
Ooh, outdoor yoga.
Okay, I think we're getting down there. I'm going to put a 30-second timer up.
And there's two more, right? There's this one and the next one and then the one after that.
There's a Q&A after
After a
that.
break. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, and then yes. If you're wondering how your evening is going tonight, we're a little over halfway done with this meeting. So right on schedule. Okay. I think our timer is up. Great feedback. Thank you. Moving on to the next one. As I mentioned, this is what specific elements, these are like things you'd like to see in the park. So responses are on, and go ahead and start.
Platform tennis. What's platform tennis?
Where did you see platform tennis?
It was up.
All right there. Just for clarification, for whoever said platform tennis, is that the same as paddle tennis? Yes? Okay.
Again, still not mud to me. What does that even mean? What's paddle tennis or
It's hard to explain.
platform
Yeah.
tennis? But inside, outside. Oh, that sounds entertaining. Okay, I have to Google that.
All right, looks like we're slowing down. I'm gonna give 30 seconds here. This is probably our most important question. We want to get some good feedback here. 20 seconds. Sorry.
Oh.
Okay. Responding is off. Did everybody get in what they want? Anybody have any like burning thing they really have to get in there? Seeing none, hearing none. Okay. So here's what we're going to do now. We're going to take all of the things everybody entered and we are going to put them into a new ranking mechanism. We have to take everybody's input there and kind of boil it down to all the common things because there's a lot of duplicates. That's going to take us a few minutes. I don't think we have any town council members here today, do we? Nope. Normally I'd say talk to your town council members, but you can talk to each other, meet your neighbors, and we'll get right back into this as soon as possible. It'll be about 5 minutes. We should have I meant to have background music here. Background music. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay.
You just sing.
You want to say that again because we were muted?
Oh, just to explain that we're in the process of combining the answers. If you're on a Zoom call right now and you're seeing us, we're taking a break while Paul and Zach tabulate the answers.
3 minutes. Exactly correct.
That was muted the whole time, but that's all right. The folks that needed to hear it are on their own, I guess.
This is totally separate from the other meetings.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, good question. The question was, are these comments including comments from other meetings? The answer to that is no.
Now, because of the way we're doing this, this is a totally different QR code. So you proved how smart you are last time. Everyone grab your phone get a picture of that QR code. If you did it using the website login, I'll give you the new number. You can go to menti.com, menti.com. The new code is 42023967.
We
yes.
could, oh, go ahead.
Another thing I wanted to mention, actually two things. So when you look at this, you're going to see a really long list. Make sure that you, sorry.
Select that, yes, sir.
you're going to see a really long list of things. Make sure you look through the whole list because something that is very important to you could be at the bottom. These are alphabetical so as to not bias any results. And pickleball and tennis are not on this list because we were already planning to do those. That is a done deal. That project was already in progress. And we didn't want people to waste a lot of time telling us something we don't really need to know, which is that we need to replace the tennis courts. We know. Let's see. It says responding is off, although. Okay. Responding is on now. If you responded before, you may have to do it again. Refresh your screen.
I think it was just showing people that are coming back on.
That could be.
Yep, take your time.
Take your time, plenty of time.
Yeah. There are a lot of them.
Yeah, there's a lot to look through. For the next round of these, perhaps some Jeopardy music or something.
Yeah.
I can sing.
I never heard you sing. Amazing.
Not bad.
If anybody on Zoom is having any trouble with the new code, let us know.
I just didn't see.
Comments might be good to have that. The screen. Smart.
You can tell it's an evening meeting. The energy's a little lower
They were taking this very seriously and
than
focused
the
on it.
Saturday morning.
Deep thinkers, I say.
Beef thinkers. Well, Saturday morning, everybody had had their coffee and it's true.
Caffeine helps.
As long as I still see people with their heads down, there will not be any rush. All right. Is anybody still working? Hearing none, I'm going to give a 10-second countdown. Here we go. Okay, the answers are in, and let's see. All right, this is hard to read, so I'm going to read them just so that people know in order of what people ranked. Indoor pool / aquatic center, green space, benches, paddle / platform tennis, stage / live music, drinking fountain, baseball field, basketball court, disc golf, smooth walking trail, ice skating rink, playground equipment, workout class / space, shade for the playground, picnic area, picnic tables, quiet areas, and memorial spots. So that is the ranking. We are going to, and that's great, by the way. Again, stuff on here that was not on either of the first two meetings. So this is exactly why we're doing this, to bring up these things that we might not have thought about. What we're going to get into now is questions and answers. So if you want to type an answer in, you can. If you type it in, I will just read it and answer it. We'll answer it as a park board. Or if you want to do it in person, you can go up to the microphone and ask it. And we're just going to combine this with the public comment portion as well. So this is also the time, if you just want to make a public comment, you can go do that at the microphone as well. So,
What would we say, 2 minutes on those?
yeah, we were limiting public comments to 2 minutes just so it doesn't get out of hand. But now's the time. If anybody wants to ask any questions, either online or in person, we are ready.
Timetable.
What is the timetable for the process? Great question. Let's see if I can go back to. Bear with me while I back up. This slide right here. So this is the process. The timetable, it really has to do with what we have control over. These public meetings we have control over. We did them pretty quickly. We got them on the calendar. We implemented the meetings. The next step is coming up with the conceptual design. We don't have control over that. We have to select a vendor. We've narrowed it down already and contacted a couple of them. We have to work with them, select a vendor, take all of the input, work on the input with them, and come up with that design. We don't know how long it's going to take. We don't know how fast these vendors can do that. That's kind of the biggest question. But I hope it's in weeks or months, not years, right? This still should be what I would hope to be a relatively fast track for a project like this. Once that's done, we'll do the next round of meetings. We do control that. We'll do those as fast as we can once that work is done, and then the final plan. So I know that didn't really answer the question. As soon as possible. I mean, I would love to see stuff. I would love to see new tennis courts.
Yeah, I mean, that would still be the priority. The tennis and the pickleball situation would be the priority that would
Yeah,
be moved on.
we'd love to see those as soon as possible, for sure.
Okay. Question in the room?
Question in the room.
Hi,
State your name
I'm
and
Mary
address first, please.
Altier from 2607 Fairway Drive. My question is, with your timeline you had up there, and I know you cannot put a specific dollar amount right now because coming from different avenues, will you have more of an idea of the dollars that is going to go to this project by the time you're doing the conceptual design and then the public meetings?
It's a good question. Yes, so this is you're talking about the second step there. Yes. During that, it'll probably be done in conjunction, right? We're going to understand how much money we can get from the town budget and hopefully work with the people who are trying to raise donations to get an idea of what we can do, right? We can't build an amusement park over there. We know that. It'd be silly to put time into a design for something we know we'll never be able to afford. So we will, in conjunction with that design, have to have some kind of idea of what we think we can afford. Yeah, that's a good question.
It'll probably come in phases, as it says here at the end, but I mean, it's the tennis courts probably will be phase one. And then whatever the town the most input we got on some other phase might be something we do in the spring of next year. And then something else we may do in the fall of next year. So we may end up doing this over a significant period of time with funds that become available based on what you guys want to see done in the park.
Exactly. And another question you didn't ask, but someone else did, but you might be thinking, the level of that conceptual design is a very high level. What should go where? We are not spending money to determine the construction specs for what kind of rebar and how thick the pavement needs to be for things that we're not doing yet. This is just a conceptual design of where things would go and do we have enough room to do the certain things we want to do. So thank you.
Another question we got in another meeting that I thought was a good question is there any limit to the amount of money that's a specific person or parties could donate? And the answer to that really is no. Why would we not take money that we're going to use for the town, for the betterment of the town? But the point of the main point is that the park board still has control over how that money is spent and what goes in the park. So one person might give $2 million and say they want, train tracks going through the middle of the park. That doesn't mean we're going to have train tracks in the middle of the park. We're going to base the design and what we implement on what people want in the town. So I don't think it's a bad thing if we have a lot of donations from a few people, as long as we can secure the funding to do what we want to do.
Exactly.
Also, we just got the updated land survey for all the plots out there. So that we have to give to the vendors because there's things like water runoff and, where the power lines are. And those are things that, we can't just say the ballpark for building pickleball courts is this, because those are things that they have to look at to determine it.
So if anybody else wants to ask a question or make a public comment, go up to the microphone. In the meantime, I'm going to continue with the online questions. I'm surprised by requests for a pool. Can you comment on any info you have with the reality of that? Wouldn't the cost be prohibitive? Oh, somebody must have logged in after we had our discussion of brainstorming rules, because this is not about that. No, we won't comment. We're just at the idea gathering phase right now. In order to avoid possible undue influence over a park, I'm going to assume that means board decisions. Would it be a good idea to be fully transparent with the names of donors and the amount of each donor's gift? I don't know. Again, that's a funding question. I don't know what rules are. But again, as Zach said, I don't think we would turn away money if people want to give us money. If anybody watched the town council meeting last night, like we don't have like just tons of extra money sitting around for this. So any amount we can get in donations and grants is very important to us.
I think it would be up to the donor whether they want their name public or not.
Certainly, the Long Beach Civic Association has that option. You can do anonymous or put your name, because a lot of people don't want to be hounded by other groups that got a hold of that list, and now they're going to come asking you to donate as well.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, if we got an anonymous $4 million gift, would we turn it down? No, we would not. We would be very grateful.
That was a hint, by the way.
If anybody's, what about getting funds by people purchasing benches or trees or bricks for Long Beach people who've passed? That is an option. I'm sure we'll discuss that.
We do the bricks. We do the bricks now.
Yeah, there is an option to purchase bricks right now.
But it's not for a significant amount of money. I mean, it's not for the purpose of raising funds for something
Right.
of this magnitude. So that would not raise.
We would have to pave Lakeshore Drive with those bricks to really get significant funds.
That would be something too that the fundraising group would be looking at, as different sponsorships of different,
We have somebody left.
and the board would have to review that in the town council.
Yes. So, yes, great idea. We don't know exactly how that's going to work, but definitely on the table. Thank you. Okay, we have a live question.
My name is Meg Canier, 2200 Oakenwald. I lost my QR code, so I want to ask my question. Will the refurbishing of the tennis courts / pickleball be contained to that property, to that area that's fenced off?
We don't know. All of this information we're gathering here feeds into the design process. During that design process, that's when we'll figure that out.
Okay.
And not just the fenced-in area. If we add additional pickleball courts, they may be, like we looked at one area before, that would be to the east of the tennis courts. But we're still open now to looking at, is there any other options?
Okay.
Yep. The way I look at this is we have the survey. We will figure out the areas we cannot build in, and then that will just be a sort of a blank slate for our designers and us to say, okay, here's the feedback we got. Here's what we think we can afford. Let's try and lay these things out. We know that there are resident concerns about putting things in certain places, right? So we're not going to just ignore all that. We'll take that all into account and come up with a plan that we hope everybody loves. We know everybody's not going to love it, and unfortunately.
No, don't say that.
Well,
You have
it's
to
reality.
manifest it.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to love it.
Is there a 501c3 established for donations? What relationship will its board have with the park board? Great question. I don't know. The group we were working with before, I think, was working on that, because what we don't want to do is have to manage as a town those individual donations, right? So I think there is an organization doing that. If anybody wants to start one and collect donations, feel free. There will definitely be an effort. There's an Indiana program, a grant that's a matching grant that works kind of like crowdfunding or a Kickstarter campaign, where if we can get people to donate, individuals to donate $50,000, then we can get a $50,000 matching grant from the state of Indiana. So we would definitely be doing that. That's a way we can accept donations. But the answer to this question, I think, is most likely yes, because we would like to have someone else managing that donation process and then work with that group to say, okay, what do we think we can get as donations and use that as input to what we can do.
There's a lot of groups that are called like Friends of the Parks. You know, Chicago has that and a lot of suburban park districts in other states. And it's just a clean way to separate what's being done by the town or the park board versus the fundraising group. But usually there's a representation or something so that there is communication between the two.
And I will say that whenever we get to that point and one of those organizations exists, you can count on the fact that we'll publicize that like crazy to get the word out, to get as many people to donate as possible so we can raise money for what we want to do. Any other comments or questions in the room? Any on Zoom? You can do it on Zoom too if anybody has questions or comments on Zoom.
There's a lot of them. A lot of people.
Good. 18 people on Zoom.
Yep.
Feel free to ask a question.
Can I ask a question?
You can if you say your name and your address.
Okay. Hi, it's Marissa Stapleton, 2113 Lakeshore Drive. I also, during the break, lost my QR code, but I just wanted to say maybe for an idea, a little splash pad, just like a little small arch that just shoots out water for the kids to cool off. Nothing extravagant, but I think that would be a nice little feature at the park.
They're great and they're not as expensive to
Yeah,
maintain.
great. Thank you, Marissa. Zach is writing that down as we speak.
Yep.
Thanks. Great idea.
It's Mishawaka. Yeah.
Any other ideas or questions from Zoom? Okay. Going once, going twice. That is it. I want to thank everybody as a park board. Thank you for providing this input. Without this, we would have, I'm sure, much worse ideas. I mean, we only know what we know, and we've gotten a lot of great ideas from all of you. So very much appreciate that. Stay tuned for the next part. The next part will be, I guarantee you it'll be more contentious because we'll be showing actual pictures of what we plan to do. And people will be saying, I don't want that, or I want more of that.
Manifesting the wrong thing.
I know.
Yeah. No negativity
I'm
for
setting
brainstorming.
expectations. I'm setting expectations because if you remember, that's okay. We can still disagree. But we're going to have something really nice, hopefully, when this is all done. You can ask. Is there a website to send comments or questions?
There's an email.
You can get all of our email addresses from the Long Beach website. Yeah, all of our email addresses are there. So send us direct emails.
And please know, as you're going home or this week, you're probably going to think of some other things that's coming.
And meetings are the third Tuesday of the month here in this building.
I dare you to come to our regular meetings.
So I don't know if I bring candy, how can
Wouldn't hurt. All right. Well, thank you all very much.
Take care.
Oh.